So, good morning, everyone. My name is Emma Menzies, and I'm head of the Paternity Department and also an equity partner here at Dutton Gregory Solicitors. I'm here today to chat with our two newest equity partners. So, welcome both of you, and congratulations on becoming equity partners. I think it's brilliant news. If you'd just like to introduce yourselves, over to you, Andrew.
Thank you, Emma. My name is Andrew Witt. I am a partner in the Commercial Litigation department. I head up litigation and I deal with most things contentious, really.
Great, thank you. And Paul?
Trying to wake up there. I'm Paul Sams. I'm a partner in the property department. I deal with residential development, a little bit of leasehold enfranchisement, a little bit of equity release, and a little bit of anything that involves property, really.
Thank you. So I think the obvious first question has to be, you've just acquired a stake in the firm at a really difficult time, one that none of us envisaged. So that must have been a really difficult decision for you and probably your wives too, I imagine.
I think that's fair to say. Yes, it's a yes and no to that, I think, to be fair, Emma. As you know, Paul and I think, have been trying to be involved with the day-to-day running of the business. We were privileged to be asked to take equity well before COVID arrived on the horizon. It would be very easy for us to turn around and say, you know what, we don't actually want that now, thank you very much. But actually, we have to put our money where our mouth is and something we believe in. And certainly, it was a hard decision, but I think it's the right one. In business, you have good times and you have bad times. And I think if you're going to lead, you lead by example. So that's really where I was coming from.
I'd agree and wholeheartedly with Mr. Witt there. For me, it was an easy decision. The firm is so financially well run, great people, got a future. The whole business of COVID has shown that in the fact that whilst many others have spent their time in lots of business, staring at their belly button, hoping for the best, crossing their fingers, we've actually all actively done something to firstly protect our staff, protect our clients, protect our introducers, and keep things going.
Excellent. And I know that you two will help massively in the coming months and years. So question 2, what value do you see yourself bringing to the firm's client experience?
I've got some grey hair, as you can tell. It's now mainly on my chin rather than on the head. And I think over the years, we've learned lots of things. Firstly, I've been through 2 recessions before even COVID came along. And I think we know how the clients want to adapt to a crisis, which we're in now. But equally, going forward, I like to think that we have a vision of how legal services should be delivered. I deliver legal services which are very different from that Mr. Sams does. But actually, we are evolving and we need to evolve very quickly as a profession. I think sometimes we're a bit slow, and I may even talk about my thoughts for the future later on in this interview. But I think realistically, it's experience, it's having an open mind more than anything else, and not being afraid of change.
No, I'd agree with that. You can't be afraid of change because as human beings, we need to evolve. From a client experience, I bring obviously great dress sense, as everyone knows. Although I shamefully admit this is one of the few times I've worn a shirt in the past 7 weeks. Most of the time it is shorts, t-shirts and sandals. I'm very fond of football tops. My whole Newcastle United range has been out and about. And I've even got one of my sons to wear his top today rather than his Chelsea top. Well, that's probably because he wants a new computer. I think when it comes to the customer experience, it's a lot of people and a lot of law firms and a lot of business tell people what they can do for them. Well, I'm a big believer, and I know Andrew and you, Emma, do this, is we ask clients and introducers what we can do for them rather than the other way around. It's tailoring everything because a one-size-fits-all doesn't occur. For example, I happen to know, Mrs. Menzies, you have size 2 feet, which would not fit in my size 11 shoes. Also, I won't tell you the size of my shirt, would probably look like a tent on you. So everyone is different, and that's the one thing I think Dutton Gregory has a strength. We don't try and say, this is the one way we will do it for you. We ask people, how can we help? And I believe we do that very well across the board.
Yep.
Yeah, we do. We do. It's amazing. So question number 3, staff wellbeing and workplace support is an important part of Dutton Gregory's culture. As you know, I'm the learning development partner, and I really passionately believe in staff welfare. So how do you see yourselves contributing to this as an equity partner?
The staff, as you know, Emma, are key to all of this, and we have some fantastic members of staff. And I think it's very important that we have taken the steps to, even prior to this, look after their welfare. We've always been having an open door policy as partners to be able for them to discuss matters, but we've also been conscious of their mental well-being, any concerns that they may have. And I think in this time, it's a strange time. So I think what we can do as equity partners is simply say that we are there to listen. We are there to offer the support. We like to keep in contact with our teams as much as we can by various means, whether it's by Zoom, whether it's by one-to-one WhatsApp video calls or anything, just checking in on them, just seeing that they're fine. And that's got to be important, because there are those that are on furlough. We can't deny that. And they will have to come back at some stage, but we don't want to neglect them and make them feel neglected. So at the end of the day, it's a team effort, with us as the partners leading the way. I think I'm very fortunate in litigation that we have a strong team ethos. And I think Paul has very much the same, and he'll probably tell you more about that. But yeah, I think the team ethos comes to the fore in times like this.
Wholeheartedly, it has to be a team effort. When COVID-19 hit us, and it did hit us, because up until the middle of March, I don't think anyone in the United Kingdom or Europe as a whole, apart from perhaps Italy, had appreciated how serious this was going to be and what a devastating effect it had on our economy, on our lives, in the fact that we can't go and see loved ones, we can't go and see friends, we can't socialise. The things that we took for granted, going to the cinema and having a meal afterwards, has just stopped. But will come back. When it comes to dealing with the staff, I think that our staff have literally been fantastic, going above and beyond. Yeah. Everyone has been working crazy hours, really, and it's been our job as partners to make sure that we look after them. The pastoral care we've had to do, I like to think that collectively we've done reasonably well. I'm not going to say we've done it brilliantly, because I think there are ways that we could have improved, because there's always ways to improve. Keeping a check on people, because our people make us, and that's what makes us such a great firm. And we've got to put the people first, which we've all been doing. I know, Emma, you've been contacting your team, and been doing his team. I have a now weekly Friday quiz via Zoom that I know you guys have done as well with your respective teams. I will win one week. I will win one this week, because Carly Davis is hosting the quiz this week, so she won't be able to play. So I've got a fairly decent chance, provided there's no music. We've discovered that music and me don't get on, but 80s cartoon characters and general knowledge about all sorts of weird stuff, I'm brilliant at. But music, no, not for the Sam's household.
Yeah, I'm with you, Paul. I'm with you.
Okay, so question 4, what advice, particularly in the current climate, would you give anyone aspiring to be the next generation of partners?
I would say that you have to have a very open mind. By that I mean you have to have an open mind as to how you're going to deal with a problem, how you're going to adapt, how you're going to deliver that message to the teams. It's all about being an open mind. And I think for too long, lawyers have been put in sort of certain boxes, and we're told that we should just do a certain thing. And we all try to aspire to be the same. But that's completely wrong, because as humans, we are very different. Our brains work in very different ways. And I think so long as you are comfortable with how your brain works, you can then adapt that to make that so beneficial to actually using that in times of difficulty and also in good times. Because don't forget, in good times, you're still going to have to inspire the team, the staff. You're going to have to think of new ideas. You're going to have to think about how you're going to deliver legal services. It's a whole raft of things. It's always evolving, and you just need to keep on thinking. Don't actually think that because someone says we must do it this way, it's got to be done that way, because as soon as you do that, you become pigeonholed and you can't react quick enough to problems.
I think traditionally, certainly in the past, and even in the recent past, many lawyers have been made partners because of the length of time they've been qualified, regardless of their skills, or the fact that they're great at billing money, which of course is important. We're not going to lie. We're a business at the end of the day, and bringing the cash in is important. The thing I would say to anyone aspiring to be a partner is endorsing what Andrew says, that everyone is different. And you've got to remember that everyone's got different strengths. For example, I work with my wife. Her skill set is different to mine. I'm more gregarious. She certainly dresses more conservatively than I do. In fact, most of the UK dress more conservatively than I do. But her technical skills, I freely admit, technically she's a much better lawyer than me. But when it comes to creative solutions, I'd like to think, and I can say this because she's not in the room, I won't see this till later on, that I am generally better at coming up with creative solutions. And it's a case of remembering that everyone is different, and some people need the metaphorical arm around their shoulder, and some people need to be told to pull themselves together. And it's a case of just knowing your staff and knowing the people you're dealing with. And also, as Andrew said earlier, and I know you endorse as well, Emma, having an open door policy that people can come and speak to you if there's a problem. I had someone at the end of last year come and speak to me about a problem. Something hadn't been filed at time somewhere, and there was a small penalty to pay. And she thought her words were, she thought I'd rip her head off. And I said, what happens? You were on holiday, it wasn't your fault. Next time you go away, if you could perhaps just make it a bit clearer to someone. And she literally stood there stunned because she thought I was going to tell her off. And it's like, well, it's spilt milk under the bridge. We all need to move on, and we're human beings. Part of being a human being is making a mistake. And we have to accept that. Of course, if there were no mistakes in the world, Mrs. Menzies, you wouldn't have any clients. No, would you, Mr.
That's
Witt?
very true.
Yeah, that's true.
Very true. I mean, I think it's great that in our Chandler's Ford office in particular, it's so open plan, and all the partners are so approachable. And I think we do a lot of floor walking. We meet people in the kitchens. We're always talking to staff, and I think that they see us as human beings. And I think that them and us is definitely not such a big thing. And we all need to work on that so that everybody thinks, well, actually, I wouldn't mind doing that. I think I could do it. And I think that if we give them the right tools, then, we've got some great people that can become partners in the future.
I agree.
So question 5, give me some insight. Your wisdom is very important here because you've been around the block, if you don't mind me saying, for quite some time, you two, in terms of your respective areas of law for the future, because this is a tough time, and I think we need some reassurance from both of you that things are going to be okay.
Well, I think things are going to be okay. I think my thoughts for the future for how litigation services are going to be provided, I hope will change. I think that the courts were struggling in some areas before coronavirus. I think they're struggling now, although they are doing what they can with the resources that they've got. But once the easing of lockdown happens and things start getting back to normal, there's going to be pressure on the courts. So I think my prediction for 2021 is that mediation will come to the fore. Businesses will want to settle disputes quickly and efficiently without court proceedings, knowing that they may not get a hearing to 2023. I think the government will look at how they will try and make that mandatory. I'm a great fan of mediation, and I think that's going to happen. I think we are going to see, unfortunately, a lot of insolvency, and I think that that's going to follow. That's inevitable. It's tragic, but we are an entrepreneurial country, so people who have had failed businesses will dust themselves down and start again. So I think that really it's going to be the courts. I think what clients will really want is certainty over fees and certainty over an outcome as best as they can in litigation. And I think that's where we at Duttons want to try and offer our services to deliver that. And that's why fixed fees, I think, will come in as well for certain stages. So it's all about giving the client certainty, I think.
Certainty is key, and certainty is the one thing that property lawyers are always striving for, because we don't like areas of ambiguity. Certainly this week, with the announcement that estate agents could return to work, there have been a lot of announcements from a lot of people in the industry saying that they're back. Well, as a firm, we were never away. We always have been there. We always will be there. We've been working through the crisis times, helping our clients as best we can. Often it's been almost like a shoulder to cry on for some people, because there have been difficulties and letting them air their frustrations, which, let's face it, we're not paid to do, but it is part of the service that we're expected to offer, and we've gladly offered it to people. It's been very difficult for people. Moving forwards, then the advent of technology, certainly in property, has been pushed forwards, I would suggest, 5 to 10 years ahead of where it would have been. For example, we've been having clients sign documents electronically where possible. I've been a massive advocate when I've been lecturing other lawyers, as I do, in relation to equity release, that video conferencing should be brought in. Fair play to the Equity Release Council and the lenders. As soon as they saw COVID-19, they saw this pretty much as an opportunity to modernise. So mortgage lenders went to desktop valuations for equity release straight away, and the advice that had to be given face-to-face by solicitors to clients was modified, that face-to-face could be done like this via video call. I've always been a massive advocate of that, mainly because you can record it. Due cost it for posterity moving forwards. The whole change to our life, not just the legal world, but our life, is now here. We will all drive less. Yeah. We will all work from home more. We may not socialise as much as we saw before in the way that we did. I don't know. But we have to embrace the change and be ready for it. And I think as a firm, we as partners, we as staff, and the Dutton Gregory family are ready to move forwards and help people.
Thank you. Now, final question. It's quite a big one, really, but you're now part of the future of Dutton Gregory. What are your aspirations for the firm in the next 5 years?
Well, I think it's going to be in stages, obviously. I think we are monitoring the position as we go. We're keeping an eye on, obviously, the government guidelines and what's happening out in the economy. I think in real terms, we're going to claw our way out of this. It won't be easy, but we will come out of this. And I think in 5 years' time, I think we'll find that we will be a larger firm in the amount of people that we have. I think that we will probably have acquired some firms along the way. I would hope so. We would have had areas of law that we can add on to. I think we would evolve into something that's perhaps not just solely a law firm, offering different services. I think that's where we see ourselves in 5 years' time. I know that Emma and Paul, we're obviously on the management board, we're looking at that anyway, and we were looking at that pre-COVID-19. I think nothing changes in that regard. Our rate of growth may have been put back, but I think we are in a strong position at the moment. We were in a strong position before then, and I think we've shown that we can adapt quickly, and agility is going to be very important going forward. And those that are agile to respond to situations will have a better place in the marketplace. So in 5 years' time, I'd like to think that we've probably doubled our turnover, maybe even trebled it. High aspirations, I know, but you've got to have a target to aim for.
I was planning on quadrupling it. I don't know about you guys. There are a lot of firms that when COVID-19 hit, their first thought was survival. And I think our thought for survival probably lasted an hour because we knew we'd survive. And rather than survive, I think we'll actually thrive. This is a great opportunity for us as a firm because we are financially stable. We've got a great team of people. Obviously, the three of us contribute to that on the management board, but we've got a great following of staff who have shown during this time, including those that are on furlough that want to come back to work. The number of messages we've all had from people that are desperate to come back to work shows what a great firm we are, that people want to actually work with us. Then we will be able to go into this brave new future very quickly. I agree with Andrew. Our plans have been not halted, but slowed down slightly because of conditions. But we've come through it. We're still standing. We're still making money. We've still got work coming in. We'll have more work coming in. And those that halted operations during this time, they're the ones that are going to have the difficulty. Yeah, it's not going to be easy, but it'd be no fun if it was easy. And as you know, we all like a bit of fun. I think moving forwards, I'll be pushing, of course, that everyone should wear a uniform in bright colours as much as possible. And I think that our future is pretty bright, just like my sheds.
Great answers, thank you. So thank you both for joining me. Speaking on behalf of the partners and of course the rest of the staff, we're delighted, absolutely delighted that you've joined Equity Partnership. And you both mentioned the three of us and several others are on the management board. And I know that with your help, your drive, your commitment, your loyalty, your determination, the fact that the teams just adore you both, I know that with your help that we're going to make this firm even better and stronger in the future. So thank you very much.